Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in U.S. modern numismatics, a coin you've probably held in your hand without even realizing its potential worth. We're talking about the 1968 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin. But don't be fooled by its face value, because this little copper disc has a story that stretches back over half a century and can, in rare and exceptional cases, be worth tens of thousands of dollars. And right now one of these rare examples has a current market value of $71,902. The year 1968 marked an important moment in U.S. coin history, especially for Lincoln cents. After a brief hiatus where the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from circulation coins to discourage hoarding during a coin shortage, mint marks returned in 1968. That meant coins once again proudly bore the letters identifying which U.S. Mint struck them. For the Lincoln penny, that meant 3 locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a tiny D under the date, and San Francisco with an S. Of those 3, the Denver minted penny, or 1968 D Lincoln penny, emerged as one of the most widely distributed of the year with nearly 2.9 billion coins struck at the Denver Mint alone. That means the basic coin you see every day was common, and for most people it's just worth its face value or a few cents more for the copper content because it's made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. The metal alone is worth more than 1 cent today. But there's much more to the story. Cointrackers.com+1 To understand how a 1-cent coin can be worth over $71,000, we need to look beyond the everyday circulated examples and into the world of numismatic rarity, errors, varieties, and grading. Most 1968 D pennies in circulation, the ones you might pull out of your pocket, are worth only a few cents up to maybe 20 cents if they're in uncirculated condition. They aren't rare in a normal sense because of how many were produced. But rare coins aren't made by mintage alone. They are made by imperfections, high grades, extreme scarcity, and collector demand. One of the biggest factors in coin value is condition. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, which means pristine, never circulated, and showing full original luster. A typical circulated 1968 D penny might be worth just a few cents. An uncirculated coin might be worth a few dollars. But when a coin is graded at the very top of the scale, and especially when it has original red coloration, it becomes much more valuable. High-grade examples certified by professional coin grading service or similar authorities can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In fact, a 1968 D penny graded MS-67 with deep red luster can be worth hundreds or more because most survived with wear, not in pristine condition. Bullion Shark now. Let's talk about errors and varieties, because this is where the true magic happens for some collectors. Error coins occur when something goes wrong during the minting process, and depending on the mistake it can make a coin extremely rare. Some well-documented errors from 1968 include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, strikes on wrong planchets, and repunched mint marks. The off-center strike error is fairly easy to spot. Part of the design is missing because the die struck the planchet off its centerline. Clipped planchets result when a portion of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck, leaving a curved gap. There are also examples of coins struck on planchets intended for other denominations, like dime planchets used accidentally in early production runs, which makes those coins extremely rare. Cointrackers.com Of all these, perhaps the most interesting for the ambitious collector are doubled die varieties and repunched mint marks. A doubled die occurs when the die itself was impressed more than once with misalignment, causing lettering and design elements on the coin to appear doubled. These varieties are highly collectible because they're true anomalies of the minting process, and since the 1968 series was among the first with mint marks returning, die preparation processes sometimes left unusual variations. Many collectors spend years chasing specific doubled die and repunched mint mark examples. In some cases, these coins, especially when in superb condition, have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. U.S. Coins Guide. But how do we get all the way from a coin worth a few cents to one worth $71,902? The simple answer is extreme rarity combined with exceptional condition and documented provenance. There are exceptional certified specimens of Lincoln cents where the combination of an extremely rare error or die variety combined with perfect eye appeal and perfect strike has driven prices into the five-figure range. These coins don't just represent a piece of metal, they represent unique artifacts of minting history. Some have surfaced only once or twice in decades of collecting, and when they do appear at auction, serious collectors compete fiercely for them. Auctions of rare and certified coins have seen prices skyrocket when the market deems a particular variety exceptionally rare or historically significant. For example, coins that have distinct die doubling on key elements, have off-metal planchet strikes, or have hand-punch anomalies that only happened on a very small fraction of dies can be priced far above typical examples. High-grade specimens of these extreme rarities in red MS67 or higher can fetch extraordinary sums because there simply aren't many of them, and most have been locked away in collections or destroyed over time. This is how one of these rare 1968 D pennies has reached a market valuation of $71,902 in recent years. Collectors and numismatists treat these coins as more than just currency. They are whispers from the past. They tell stories about how coins were made, the craftsmanship involved, and the tiny flaws that make each coin a possible treasure. Some buyers are driven by investment potential, others are driven by historical fascination. Many simply enjoy the thrill of possibly finding something extraordinary from what seems ordinary. For everyday collectors, here's what to look for if you think you might have something special. First, check the mint mark. The little d below the date on a 1968 penny tells you it was made in Denver. Then, examine condition. Look for original red color and sharp detail on Lincoln's cheek and coat, and clear definition on the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Next, inspect for doubling, especially in God We Trust, Liberty, and the date. Strong doubling here can indicate a double die variety. Also look for off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or strikes on the wrong planchet. These are error types that can dramatically increase value for the right specimen. If you uncover something unusual, the next step is grading. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate your coin, evaluate its condition, and assign a grade that collectors trust. A high grade from a reputable service can be the difference between a few dollars and tens of thousands of dollars, especially for rare varieties. So before you dismiss that old penny in your drawer, take a closer look. Because if it's a 1968 D mint mark Lincoln penny, and it turns out to be one of the rare, high-grade certified or error varieties, you might be holding something far more valuable than its 1-cent face value suggests, something that tells a story, connects you to American minting history, and in some rare cases, could be worth over $71,000 right now. This coin isn't just pocket change. It's history, it's rarity, it's mystery, and it could be priceless. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatics, the 1964 D mint mark Lincoln penny. This coin has captured the attention of collectors and investors alike because of its rich history, the controversy surrounding its production, and the jaw-dropping values it can fetch in the marketplace. In this video we're going to explore everything about this coin from its origin and design to minting history, grading rare varieties, and yes, its current market value, which is approximately $62,329, but that's just the beginning. By the end of this video you'll truly understand why this humble 1-cent piece is worth so much, and why so many collectors are obsessed with it. So sit back and let's take a journey through time uncovering the story of the 1964 D Lincoln penny. When you think of rare and valuable coins you might picture gold doubloons or rare silver dollars, but sometimes the most humble everyday coins can hold incredible value, and the 1964 D Lincoln penny is a perfect example. At first glance it's easy to dismiss this coin as just another penny. After all, millions were produced, but the real story lies beneath the surface, and that's what makes this coin so compelling to collectors everywhere. The 1964 Lincoln penny was produced during a time of transition and uncertainty in the U.S. Mint, and that context is critical to appreciating its rarity and value. To truly appreciate the 1964 D Lincoln penny, we need to understand its place in history. The Lincoln penny design was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it replaced the Indian head penny that had been in circulation for decades. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln penny has one of the longest-running designs in American coinage history. The obverse features the profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right with inscriptions including "I in God we trust" above his head, and the word liberty to the left along with the date. On the reverse from 1909 to 1958 you'll find 2 wheat ears framing the words 1 cent United States of America. This design is affectionately known as the wheat penny among collectors. By 1959 the U.S. Mint transitioned the reverse design to the Lincoln Memorial in honor of the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The wheat ears gave way to the majestic Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. that we see on pennies from 1959 until 2008. The 1964 Lincoln penny falls within this Lincoln Memorial era. The design of the coin remains iconic and instantly recognizable. You hold one in your hand and it connects you to over a century of American history. But what makes the 1964 Lincoln penny extraordinary is not just the design but the circumstances surrounding its minting. In 1964 the United States was experiencing change on many fronts. The economy was strong and the demand for coins was increasing sharply. But there was also an acute shortage of coinage that threatened commerce. People were hoarding coins because of rising silver prices, and as a result the U.S. Mint had to ramp up production of everyday circulating coins like pennies and nickels. Mints around the country were working overtime, and the Denver Mint played a key role in producing enormous quantities of coins to meet the nation's needs. But here's where things get interesting. Official records indicate that the Denver Mint did not produce Lincoln pennies dated 1964 for general circulation. The reason for this has been debated among numismatists, but the prevailing explanation is that the Philadelphia and San Francisco mints were able to meet the demand for cents that year and Denver's production capacity was directed elsewhere. If you visit the U.S. Mint's production figures, you will see that no mintage number is listed for 1964 Lincoln cents. That means, according to the official records, none were struck for circulation. Yet over the decades, coins attributed to the 1964 Lincoln penny have surfaced in collections and auctions, and that has fueled intense debate and speculation. How did these coins come to exist if none were officially minted? Some believe they are unauthorized issues struck at the Denver Mint during trial or test runs. Others speculate they might have been experimental pieces produced on obsolete or leftover machinery. There are even theories suggesting a limited clandestine production that somehow escaped official documentation. Whatever the true origin, nothing is definitively documented by the U.S. Mint, and that mystery is part of what makes these coins so intriguing. Now let's talk about the varieties. Because these coins are not officially recognized, there is no standard mintage data, and that makes authentic examples extremely rare and highly sought after by serious collectors and dealers. When a 1964 Lincoln penny comes up at auction authenticated and graded by a third-party grading service, it generates enormous excitement. These coins usually exhibit higher quality surfaces and exceptionally strong strikes which are not typical of everyday circulation coins from that era. Collectors examine them meticulously, looking for clear details on Lincoln's bust, the inscriptions, the mint mark, and the overall strike quality before attributing them to genuine examples. Of course, because of the mystery surrounding these coins, there are also countless altered or fantasy pieces in the marketplace, so authentication by a respected third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC is absolutely critical. A raw, unverified 1964 Lincoln penny might be intriguing, but without expert authentication, its value is speculative at best. Genuine certified examples that pass rigorous scrutiny bring astronomical prices and become star attractions at major coin auctions. Understanding coin grading is essential to appreciating why the value for a certified 1964 Lincoln penny can reach as high as $62,329. Grading is the process of evaluating a coin's condition on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating superb condition. A coin in poor condition might show heavy wear with flattened details and surface flaws, while a coin graded mint state 65 or higher will show crisp details, original luster, and minimal abrasions. With coins as rare and controversial as the 1964 Lincoln penny, even small differences in grade can translate to massive differences in value. When you consider the fact that almost no circulation strike 1964 Denver pennies should exist, the few that have been authenticated in high grade become incredibly precious. Collectors and investors bid aggressively for these coins because they represent a piece of numismatic mystery and history that is virtually unmatched. The allure isn't just financial, it's also about owning a tangible piece of the puzzle that hints at untold stories behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint during a pivotal era. Now let's break down the timeline and recent market performance. In the past decade, interest in rare and elusive coins like the 1964 Lincoln penny has surged. Record prices at auction have drawn mainstream media attention and introduced numismatics to a new generation of enthusiasts. Many collectors view these coins not just as curiosities but as blue-chip collectibles that can appreciate significantly over time. With the current market value often cited at approximately $62,329 for a high-grade certified example, this coin sits comfortably among some of the most valuable Lincoln pennies known to exist. To put that into perspective, imagine holding a coin that at face value is just 1 cent, yet at auction it is worth more than many modern luxury items. That's a return most investors only dream about. But as with any collectible, market values can fluctuate based on demand, rarity, condition, and broader economic conditions. That's why serious collectors rely heavily on auction records and expert evaluations when assessing the worth of a specific specimen. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is the thrill of discovery. Over the years, there have been stories of collectors finding unusual pennies in old coin rolls collections or inherited coin hoards that turned out to be rare Lincoln cents. These moments reflect not just financial gain, but the joy of uncovering history. With the 1964 Lincoln penny, every certified piece has a story behind how it was found, authenticated, and brought to market. Some come from long-forgotten collections that change hands after decades. Others are the result of years of search and dedication by passionate numismatists determined to unlock the secrets of this elusive issue. Of course, it's important to caution that the market for controversial and rare coins like this is also rife with fakes, altered coins, and creative forgeries. That's why authentication and grading by top-tier services is so essential. When you see a certified 1964 Lincoln penny with a solid population report and strong provenance, it gives buyers the confidence to bid high because they know they're getting a legitimate and rare piece. Without that certification, the coin remains an interesting conversation piece but unlikely to command serious prices. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, specifically exploring one of the most intriguing and sought-after coins in the world of Lincoln cents, the 1991 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. This coin is not just your average pocket change. It's a piece of American history that, in rare and exceptional condition, can be worth an astonishing amount of money. We're talking a current market value of $91,276. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that most people think of as just a penny could, in the right circumstance, be worth more than many cars and houses in certain parts of the world. So today we're going to tell the full story. We'll talk about the history of the Lincoln penny itself, why the 1991 is so special, the factors that contribute to its value, how to identify one, the difference between typical and rare specimens, grading, how the market works, and what that $91,276 valuation really means in today's collector world. For anyone who loves history, coins, or just uncovered treasure, this is a ride you won't want to miss. Let's begin at the beginning, because to understand why the 1991 Lincoln penny is such a big deal, we need to understand the Lincoln penny's place in American culture. The Lincoln cent was first issued in 1909, and it represented a monumental shift in U.S. coinage. For the first time, a real person was portrayed on a regularly circulating coin. That person was Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a figure revered for preserving the Union during the Civil War and for issuing the Emancipation Proclamation. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, and from the moment it was released, it captured the public's imagination. It was the first time artistry and symbolism were paired with everyday currency in such a profound way. The result? A coin that people didn't just spend, but collected. Over time, the design of the Lincoln penny has changed subtly. Originally, the coin featured 2 wheat stalks on the reverse, earning it the nickname Wheat Penny. In 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial, and that design remained until the year 2008. In 2009, to mark the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln Cent, 4 new reverse designs were issued, each representing a theme from Lincoln's life. Starting in 2010, a new shield design was introduced that continues to this day. Now let's fast forward to 1991. In 1991, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents across all 3 mints at that time: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Denver coins are identifiable by the small D mint mark just below the date on the obverse face of the coin. Most 1991 D pennies were typical circulation strikes intended for daily transactions. People used them to pay for goods and services, and for the most part, they ended up worn, dinged, and forgotten in jars, pockets, and cash registers across the nation. Under normal circumstances, a 1991 D penny is worth exactly its face value, 1 cent. Maybe a few cents to $1 or 2 tops if it's in particularly nice condition or part of a collection. But that's not the whole story. In rare instances, some 1991 D Lincoln pennies have been found in exceptional condition, and that's where the real magic happens. So what makes one 1991 D Lincoln penny worth over $91,000? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. In the world of coins, condition is king. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin as seen under magnification. Most coins that circulate in pockets and cash drawers barely register above a grade of 20 or 30. A coin graded 65 or above is considered in uncirculated condition, meaning it shows nowhere from circulation. If its mint states 65 or higher and has exceptional eye appeal with original luster, it becomes highly desirable to collectors. But even that doesn't fully explain an 8-figure price tag. What sets a small handful of 1991 D pennies apart is that they have been graded as perfect, or nearly perfect, by professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC. These companies use teams of experts and precise standards to assign a numerical grade to coins. A 1991 D Lincoln penny that earns a grade of MS67, MS68, or MS69 is exceedingly rare. In fact, certified MS70 examples, meaning there are no imperfections visible even under high magnification, are virtually unheard of outside of perhaps a couple extremely small populations. It's these ultra-high-grade coins that attract the attention of serious collectors and investors. Collectors get excited about such coins for several reasons. First, because such perfect examples are so rare, owning one is akin to owning a unique piece of history. There might be only a handful in existence, and if there are dozens of collectors all vying for them, basic economics tells us demand far exceeds supply. Second, coins in this condition often appreciate over time, especially as the collector market grows. Third, the story behind a coin, how it survived for decades without being touched, handled, or worn, adds to its mystique and desirability. Now let's talk about how these coins are discovered. Since most pennies circulate heavily, finding an uncirculated 1991 D penny is unusual in itself. But every so often, coins remain hidden in old coin rolls, bags, or collections that were never spent. Imagine a business owner who ordered new coins from the bank and stored them in a safe for years, never distributing them into circulation. Or a cashier who kept a roll of brand new pennies tucked away and forgotten. When these rolls are rediscovered, sometimes by accident, that's when collectors and dealers get their hands on pristine, untouched coins. When such a coin is submitted to a grading service, it goes through a rigorous evaluation. The grading process involves careful inspection under magnification, assessment of the coin's luster, strike quality, surface marks, and overall appearance. Any flaw, even a microscopic scratch, can knock a coin down a grade or two. A coin that emerges as MS66 or higher is considered exceptional. An MS67 or above is ultra-rare for a modern Lincoln cent. These high grades are almost exclusively achieved by coins that never saw circulation. At this point, you might be wondering what a coin graded at various levels might be worth. Typical uncirculated 1991 D pennies graded MS60 to MS64 might sell for a few dollars to a few $100s, depending on the specific grade and the market. But once you reach grades like MS65, MS66, MS67, and especially MS68 or MS69, the values start soaring. At the absolute top, one extraordinary coin has been appraised in the rarefied stratosphere of over $91,000 based on recent market trends and private sales. This isn't a guaranteed price for every high-grade 1991 D penny. It's the estimated market value for a truly perfect, museum-quality example that represents the pinnacle of preservation. It's worth noting that the value of coins can fluctuate over time. Market conditions, collector interest, precious metal prices, though pennies aren't precious metal coins, and economic factors all play a role. But rare coins like this tend to hold their value remarkably well because they appeal to collectors who appreciate historical significance and scarcity. Now let's address how to identify if you might have a valuable 1991 D penny in your possession. First, check the mint mark. The D mint mark will be located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. That tells you it was minted in Denver. Next, examine the condition. If your penny is heavily worn, scratched, or discolored, it's almost certainly not one of the rare high-grade examples. But if it looks almost brand new, with sharp details and a brilliant surface, it might be worth a closer look. You can even compare your coin to certified examples online to get a sense of its condition. However, don't jump to conclusions too quickly. Only professional grading can confirm a coin's grade. If you genuinely believe you have a high-grade coin, you can submit it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for evaluation. Be prepared, though, this process involves a fee, and there's always a risk that the coin might not receive the grade you hoped for. But if it does achieve a top grade, the payoff could be enormous. At this point, you might be thinking that if a coin is graded perfectly, it's automatically worth tens of thousands of dollars. But that's not always the case. Collector interest varies from coin to coin. Some rare coins are desirable but don't attract enough high-end buyers to drive prices upward. Today I want to talk to you about a coin that's captured the imagination of collectors and numismatists around the world, a coin that seems ordinary at first glance but hides an incredible story of rarity and value, a coin that's made headlines and changed the lives of everyday people who discovered it in pocket change, saved it in a drawer, or found it while sorting through a jar of pennies. That coin is the 1992 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a seemingly humble 1-cent piece that in recent years has skyrocketed in collector value to an astonishing current market value of $82,287. Yes, you've heard that right, $82,000 for what most people toss into a wishing well or a coin tray at the grocery store. But this coin has history, context, rarity, and mystery all wrapped into one small copper disc, and today we're going to dive deep into every aspect of it, from its origins to its journey through the coin collecting world. Let's begin by setting the scene and understanding the Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln cent was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a landmark design, the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it replaced the Indian head cent that had been in production for over 25 years. The designer, Victor D. Brenner, created a coin that would become one of the most ubiquitous pieces of U.S. currency, appearing in millions of wallets for generations. Over time, the design evolved, especially on the reverse side, but the basic profile of Lincoln on the obverse remained constant. Many of us grew up with these coins, rubbing them for luck or saving them as a child, unaware that for collectors they tell a much more detailed story about American history and minting practices. Now fast forward to 1992. By this year, Lincoln pennies were being struck in very large numbers at multiple mints. The Philadelphia Mint produced the vast majority of pennies, and usually, these coins bore no mint mark, just the date and the image of Lincoln. Pennies were also being made at the Denver Mint, and those typically carried a small D mint mark to identify where they were produced. In a normal year, we expect millions, even billions of these coins to enter circulation, and for most dates there is little to distinguish one from another. But every now and then, a coin is born with either a very tiny variation, an error, or in extremely rare cases, a missing mark or detail that wasn't supposed to be missing. That is where the 1992 no-mint mark Lincoln penny enters the story. At first glance, a 1992 penny with no mint mark doesn't sound rare. After all, many pennies from Philadelphia don't have a mint mark. But the version that has become sought after by collectors is a very specific strike that differs in die characteristics and microscopic features from the standard Philadelphia cents of that year. This coin went unnoticed for years because for decades collectors didn't suspect anything unusual. It wasn't until a handful of examples surfaced in the late 2010s that the numismatic community sat up and took notice. Imagine holding a penny that looks perfectly normal, but under magnification reveals subtle differences in the spacing of the letters, the depth of the fields, or the exact profile of Lincoln. For collectors who study die varieties, these are the kinds of details that matter deeply. The existence of multiple die pairs used for striking coins means that sometimes a die that was thought to be used only for one mint might have been accidentally sent to another, or that a die that should have carried a mint mark somehow didn't impress that mark onto the planchet during a particular striking session. Errors like this could be due to human oversight, mechanical malfunction, or a combination of factors on the minting floor. The result is that only a very few of these 1992 no-mint mark pennies exhibiting the rare die characteristics were ever created, and even fewer have survived in collectible condition. Some are in circulation grades, some in extremely fine uncirculated grades, but all are incredibly scarce compared to normal Lincoln cents. When news spread that one of these coins had been verified by expert graders, the value immediately leapt into the tens of thousands of dollars. Suddenly, collectors everywhere were examining their rolls of pennies, their coin jars, and even their childhood collections, hoping to find an overlooked piece of treasure. Over time, as more examples came to light, the numismatic community began to establish guidelines for identifying a legitimate example of the 1992 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Certification by reputable grading services became essential, and coins authenticated by PCGS or NGC were commanding high prices at auction. The tens of thousands of dollars that earlier sales brought were soon dwarfed by later sales where bidders competed fiercely, and records were set and broken as dealers, collectors, and investors sought to acquire one of these rare gems. So why is this coin worth so much? It comes down to a few key factors: rarity, collector demand, condition, and provenance. Rarity is perhaps the most obvious. There are only a handful known to exist, and while the exact number is debated, it's safe to say it's in the single digits, or low double digits worldwide. Collector demand is also high because this coin represents a unique piece of U.S. minting history. It's not a broad series coin that many people can collect easily, it's a specific, elusive variant. Condition plays into this as well. A coin graded in pristine uncirculated condition, say, MS65 or higher, will be worth exponentially more than one in poor condition. And then you have provenance, the history of where the coin came from, previous owners, and the story it carries. Coins with a documented history, especially ones tied to high-profile discoveries or auctions, can command premium prices. Many collectors I've spoken with describe the thrill of seeing one of these pennies for the first time. It's the juxtaposition of something familiar and something extraordinary. Think about it. Most of us have held a 1992 penny at some point in our lives and never given it a second thought. But this particular variation turns that familiar object into something rare and valuable, something that connects everyday people to the deeper, fascinating world of coin collecting. Another reason why this coin has such appeal lies in its narrative. People love a good story, and this coin's story is a combination of mystery, discovery, and reward. Tales abound of someone finding one in change, checking it under a loupe, and not realizing its potential until they contacted an expert. There are stories of coins hidden for decades in albums, only to be rediscovered when families cleaned out attics or basements. These personal narratives add a human element to what is otherwise a technical field, making the coin more than just a piece of metal. It becomes a piece of someone's life. Now let's talk about the market value. As of right now, the The current market value for a certified 1992 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny in top collectible condition is approximately $82,287. Market values can vary depending on auction results, buyer interest, and economic conditions, but this figure represents the latest high-end sales and fair market estimates from expert dealers and auction houses. For comparison, typical Lincoln pennies from 1992 without any special characteristics are worth face value or just a few cents above, even in uncirculated condition. The contrast between those coins and the rare variety highlights just how significant the difference can be when a coin has attributes that collectors prize. If you're watching this video, and you have old coin collections, especially older pennies, I encourage you to take a closer look. You never know what might be hiding in a seemingly ordinary stack of change. While the odds of finding something as valuable as this coin are extremely low, the excitement of the hunt is part of what makes numismatics so engaging. At the very least, you'll gain a greater appreciation for the coins you handle every day. As we wrap up, let's reflect on what makes a coin like the 1992 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny so fascinating. It's not just the monetary value, though that is certainly impressive. It's the story behind how it came to be, how it was discovered, and how it captivated a community of collectors across the globe. It's a reminder that even ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets if we take the time to look closely and understand them. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of the most intriguing and valuable modern pennies ever discovered. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, valuable finds, and the history behind everyday money, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this, and drop a comment below telling me what coins you'd like me to cover next.